In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up shared coordinates, adding on from the previous video the idea of making sure the elevation is correct. So we're going to start out by taking a quick look at the CAD file. Again, the origin is closer than normal to the site. I've added some contours here. Notice this one is at 20 feet. The next one, sort of midway through our property, is 25 feet. If we were to take a look at this in 3D real quick, just for reference, all the line work, which is fairly normal in a Civil CAD file, is down at elevation 0, and then the contours are at the correct elevation. So now if we go into our Revit site model, so we're just setting up this project. If we go to the south elevation, I recommend that the lowest level be renamed to sea level, and then this could be called proposed building, another level for existing building. We're just going to have one building in this example, so we'll call it level 1. And remember, the contours were between 20 and 25 feet, so maybe right now our guess, until we hear from our civil engineer specifically, is that the first floor of our building is going to be at 22 feet. But as you'll see, this can change at any time during the project without any trouble at all. So back to the site plan, we're going to go to Insert, Link CAD, select our CAD file, uncheck this correct lines. The positioning doesn't matter. Notice here it's starting to just make sense in terms of terminology that this is going to be placed vertically with the CAD's origin at 0, 0, 0 being at vertically aligned with sea level. We'll check that in a minute, but the vertical position is already correct. I'm going to unpin this CAD file per the run through in the previous video, move this closer to Revit's internal origin, which is really important. And then we're going to double check this. I'm going to go to the south elevation. Actually, I'm going to go to the north elevation because the survey point is behind me in the south elevation. So I want to be able to see the survey point in this elevation. Notice there's the survey point. It aligns with sea level. And if I pick the CAD file, just hovering over it, actually, you can see the bottom bounding box aligns with sea level. And you remember that one contour is at 20 feet. So from here up is 20 feet. So this is all good. So the next step then is to acquire shared coordinates. And now we've just set up the shared coordinate system for the entire Revit project. I'm going to lock or pin the CAD file so it doesn't move. We're going to save this and then jump into the proposed building. So we're going to link in the site file. Can't do shared coordinates yet because we haven't set that up here. And we're doing it this way because BIM 360 doesn't allow publishing coordinates. We can only acquire coordinates. For this link, I have to quickly turn on the linked DWG in that Revit site file. It doesn't show up by default. And so here we just simply, like the previous video, where we weren't talking about elevation, we sort of position the building where we want it. And we'll see the center of the building is roughly at that 25-foot contour. If we go to the north elevation, we're going to want to make sure things are positioned, at least right now, vertically correctly. And you can see that's not quite the case. So this is the Revit site model. And notice sea level and level 1. We're going to use the align command to align our building's level 1 with the links level 1. So this doesn't matter exactly where it is. You'll see in a little while that this vertically can change at any time, but we're going to just try and get it to something that's reasonable to begin with. We'll select this Revit site model and acquire shared coordinates. So if we go into our south elevation here and turn on survey point just for a minute, you can see our survey point aligns with the sea level. And if I select the link, it highlights its shared coordinates. So they're actually both right on top of each other. This is, and I meant the survey point. So this is the survey point in our proposed building, and this is the survey point in the linked file. So now I'm going to save this, and we're going to switch back to our site model. And now we're in the home stretch here. So let's do this in a 3D view just so we can see it happen a little nicer. We're going to link in the proposed building now that that has shared coordinates set up in it, and it's going to drop in directly into the right spot. On the site and massing tab, we can create contours from this linked file real quick. So we have contours and then just the perimeter of the pond. I won't bother adjusting the material, but you can see the building is in the correct spot. If we go to the site plan view, not only is the building in the right spot, the way we set this up with things being at the correct vertical position, you can see that the contours in the CAD file actually align with the contours in the Revit model. We can even label the contours in the Revit model and have it be accurate. So there's our 20 foot contour. This is obviously doing 1 foot increments, which can be adjusted if you want. So pretty straightforward. Now, if we want to change the vertical elevation, we're working with the civil engineer, and they decide this needs to be taller, or architecturally you realize it's in a floodplain and you're going to put it on stilts. So let's actually look at that. We'll move it up sort of a drastic amount just so we can see the change. So again, nothing per what I said in the previous video, nothing ever moves in the site file. We're going to go back into the building file, select the survey point. There's actually no reason to ever unclip the survey point, in my opinion. That just complicates things. We're going to move it down. Let's just do 10 feet. So now the entire site moved down. So by selecting the survey point in our project, we've moved all the things that are set up with shared coordinates. So if I select the Revit site link, it's selecting the survey point in that link. And then if I select my survey point that I just moved, you can see they still align. And now our building is hovering above the site. That's all there is to it. Now I'm going to go back into the site model, and it's going to be already properly repositioned. And of course, the contour labels that we added haven't changed. So that's the whole process of setting up the vertical elevation component of shared coordinates.